we're here with Jeff. Hi, Jeff. It's amazing to have you in Mexico.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jeff is actually the vice president of Ben-Gurion University. He is actually on a mission to come here to Mexico and to spread what the University of Ben-Gurion is doing. And I wanted to welcome here.
Thank you. Thank you.
To you. And I wanted to ask you, my first question to you would be, why is it called Ben-Gurion University?
Well, you said mission, and I'll say not mission impossible, mission possible. Okay, so that it really is the story of David Ben-Gurion. So very early in the years of the existence of the State of Israel, 1953, David Ben-Gurion was the prime minister, and he was down in Eilat, which was literally a single horse town, if you could say, with one flag, but long before it was developed, and seeing what our situation was on the border, and driving back to Tel Aviv where he lived. And halfway through the drive, he told the driver to stop the car because he saw out of the window people working the fields. He stopped the car and went to talk to them, and they took it back because they realized it was the prime minister, and they said, "What are you doing here?" And they said, "Well, we're here because of you. You told us we have to come and develop the Negev. This is where we need to be." He says, "Wow, and how is it going?" He says, "It's very difficult, but we believe in what we're doing. We believe in the mission." They were establishing a kibbutz called Sde. So he continues the drive, and he goes back to Tel Aviv, and he goes to meet his secretary, and says, "I've never in my entire life been jealous of anybody until now. I'm jealous of these young people. I want to be there." And then he went to his wife, Paula, who really didn't want to be at all in Israel. She wanted to be in America, and said, "Guess what? We're moving to Sde." And she said, "Over my dead body." But he prevailed, and they came. So he moved down to the Negev because he was a man of his words. He said that words without deeds are completely and utterly useless. And his deed was to move to the Negev, and he actually moved down to the Negev because he believed that that's the only place that Israel could expand to, both for political reasons, but also for just in terms of population growth. And the first thing he said when he was down there is, we need a university. We need scientists to come here and develop science which is related to living in the desert, using energy from the sun, desalinating water, growing crops here in the desert. And this is 1953. And it's amazing now to think about how much he knew, how much he saw in the future. And so he called for the establishment of a university, which was originally called the University of the Negev, the College of the Negev. And when he passed away in 1973, the university was renamed Ben-Gurion University of the Negev. We have 3 campuses in Beersheba, in Sde, where he lived in his latter years, and that's one of our campuses where we studied desert research, and in Eilat, that place I was mentioning before. So that's why we got the name. But I got to tell you that when we get up in the morning, we remind ourselves that we're not just a university. There are some wonderful universities in Israel, Haifa University, Tel Aviv University, the Hebrew University, and they all do a great job, but their job is being a university. Our job is twofold. It's being a university in the Negev, and it's fulfilling the vision of David Ben-Gurion of making the impossible possible.
That sounds amazing. But in order to make the impossible possible, you would have to be like really broad. You would have to lay all the groundwork so that people can understand the subjects, not about being in a textbook, but about being in reality. How do you make that happen?
So living in the desert defines everything we do. So we have made advances over 50 years in areas of sustainability and climate change. We actually are learning how to use the sun for power. For solar power was one of the first places where it was developed. We are actually dealing with technology of desalination. Again, one of the first places it happened, and a whole lot of things like that. But we have other areas of expertise that are not necessarily connected to the desert, but have very special focus in the desert. For example, we are leading experts in cybersecurity. Beersheba is the Israeli capital of cybersecurity. So one of the things that we do, we take advantage of the fact that we have a very large hospital, Soroka Hospital, beside our university, and are dealing with how you cope with big data in the world of health. And one of the things that we have discovered is that if you are, you need to protect your cybersecurity, you have to understand that your medical records that are online are vulnerable. And so the university is developing techniques to make sure to protect records, because a whole lot of different things, bad things can happen if somebody was to break into your medical systems. So that's one other area. Another area where we have expertise is in the area of autism. Ben-Gurion University has Israel's National Research Center for Autism. And the reason is, again, because we are experts in computer science. We have this very large hospital that intakes all of the populations, Jewish populations, Bedouin populations, and the full area of people living in the Negev. And we're able to understand the statistics behind children who have suspected autism and plug them into a computer system and understand what are the causes of autism, both genetic, behavioral, and other terms of other medical aspects that we're measuring, observation, and share that with the rest of the country, and in fact beyond the rest of the country.
Wow. And in terms of sharing that information, it sounds like it's not a mission about only Israel. So
That's right.
Ben-Gurion was the founder of the state of
That's
Israel,
right.
but it seems like you're reaching out beyond the borders.
That's
why,
right. So
why
again,
would you do that? Why
so-
would you do that if you're a university in the middle of the Negev?
So that's part of this burden of having his name, because he also talked about being a light among the nations. He understood that Israel's chance of being accepted by the nations in our immediate area and throughout the world was going to be much greater if we were seen to be contributing to the world in areas that were helping humanity. So everything that we do in the university is immediately shared with other countries, other institutions, other societies that can benefit from us, and therefore translate our role as ambassador to other places where in the world's media, Israel is often related to by the conflict with the Palestinians and our negative relations with our neighbors. Well, the Abraham Accords, and again, Ben-Gurion saw it 50, 60, 70 years ago, that once the Abraham Accords were signed, we would have people from Abu Dhabi and Morocco and the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain turn up at Ben-Gurion University and saying, you have 50 years experience living in the desert, share with us this knowledge. And that's what he saw. That's what Ben-Gurion saw. The other thing about him is that he lived his latter years there and wanted to be buried in Sde Boker, because he said, I know that the importance to Israelis of coming to pay homage or pay respect to my grave will bring people down to the Negev. So he was buried there, and the university was given his archive. So we have absolutely everything that he ever wrote, his diaries that he meticulously wrote every single day, all the letters, all the correspondence, and we have just built this very beautiful archive building in our campus that people can come and study Ben-Gurion the man, Ben-Gurion the politician, Ben-Gurion the Israeli, Ben-Gurion the Jewish leader, all within the context of our campus. So again, he saw all of this, and we're just fulfilling what he asked us to do so many years ago.
You're talking about not only being there for Israel, but for all over the world.
Right.
But the world has to respond as well.
Right.
How can Mexican students, the young people that live here in Mexico, Latin America, all of these people that are late at night thinking, how can they make this change?
Right.
How can they do something about the problems that Ben-Gurion faced?
Right. So I would say that, first of all, both in the Jewish community, but maybe in the general community as well, there are all sorts of questions about identity. Young people are not necessarily, let's just say, enamored or pleased about their local politics, whatever country they're living in. They're disillusioned. And young people, if you ask them what really concerns them, they'll say they're looking about the future of our planet. So, and also I think people's relationship with Israel is one that's sometimes problematic, because if you're reading negative things about Israel, so what do you feel as a young Jewish person growing up here and your relationship with Israel? So we say we want to meet you where you are. So if what concerns you is the planet, what concerns you is sustainability, or you're worried about climate change, or you're worried about greenhouse gases, you can connect to Israel via the topic that is important to you. And so we, here in Mexico, we're actually reviving an association that was active here for many years, but kind of got a lot smaller, and I would say the generation who supported us moved on, or passed away in some cases, but that we're creating an organization which is very grassroots, targeted at young people who want to come locally and grapple with things that matter to them, are relevant to their lives, but via this connection with Israel. So again, Ben-Gurion's mission was not just to be about us. So this is our contribution to Jewish community. We want Jewish communities to feel proud of what they do and proud of Israel and connect them. So we have a local association here, and we would love people to hear this message and come and just be part of us, participate in programs, come to visit us in Israel if possible, but strengthen their identity via this relationship with Ben-Gurion University.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you want to add something.
No, just thank you for the opportunity, and come and visit.